Fishing has been an essential source of human sustenance and community livelihoods for generations. However, the dynamics of the recreational and commercial fishing industry have dramatically transformed the scale at which we harvest fish worldwide. The pursuit of sustainability in commercial activities is far from a novel concept. It's a perennial discussion that has been present for years. The critical issue at hand is just how overexploited our fish stocks have become and what measures, both in practice and in future, are being deployed to ensure a future of sustainable fishing. In this documentary, we aim to unravel the complexities of overfishing, understand just how serious this challenge is, and shed light on solutions and hold promise of our safeguarding of the ocean for future generations. Our story begins with a global overview of overfishing. Fish stocks assessed have revealed shocking trends that demand our immediate attention. Overexploited fish stocks increased from 10% in 1974 to 30% by 2009. Meanwhile, non-fully exploited stocks decreased from a substantial 40% to 15%.
Overfishing is certainly a big problem globally, and it's got a number of potential consequences. So when you overfish a stock, when you catch too many, more than the stock can support, there's a immediate consequences that you are sort of depleting that stock, and that may or may not be reversible. Maybe it can recover, or it might take a long time to recover.
The fraction of biologically sustainable levels decreased from 90% in 1974 to 64.6% in 2019.
You lose biodiversity, but you're also having potential ecosystem impacts on all the other species that in the ecosystem that may feed on those fish or have some kind of connections with that species, so you're disrupting the ecosystem potentially. And for people, the flow-on effect is that we risk economic losses from jobs. If there's too much fishing and fishermen can't go fishing anymore, they lose their job, and or there might be issues with food security, not being enough fish to feed people.
Rebuilding overfished stocks presents a promising solution. It could increase marine capture fisheries production by approximately 16.5 million tons. This boost will significantly contribute to food security, nutrition, economies, and the well-being of coastal communities. Scientifically assessed and intensively managed stocks have, on average, seen increased abundance at proposed target levels. However, regions with less developed fisheries management have much greater harvest rates and lower abundance.
Depending on where you are in the world, overfishing, there's different amounts of overfishing going on. Certainly in a lot of Asia and a lot of developing countries, overfishing is a major problem which has major economic impacts, major impacts on food security and nutrition.
This highlights the urgent need to replicate and readapt successful policies and regulations in fisheries that are not managed sustainably. It's imperative that we implement innovative, ecosystems-based mechanisms that promote sustainable use and conservation around the world. Overfishing is a complex and pressing issue that requires a collective effort. The statistics are concerning, but with the correct strategies, we can steer our oceans towards a more sustainable future. Australia, known for its stunning marine biodiversity, like many other countries, is facing its own set of challenges regarding overfishing. According to the Global Fishing Index study, which involves more than 500 fisheries from around the world, Australia's sustainable fishing capability is rated at concerning 24.9 out of 100. Australia has a well-developed fisheries governance system, which should ideally ensure sustainable fishing. However, there isn't sufficient data to provide a reliable indication of whether Australia's fish stocks are at a healthy level or not. Many species are being caught in significant volumes without adequate stock assessments. Australia stands at a critical juncture, facing both the potential for sustainable fisheries governance and the challenge of rampant overfishing. The numbers indicate that urgent action is needed to ensure the longevity of Australia's marine resources. Let's focus now into the specific challenges of overfishing faced by coastal city of Perth, Australia.
It's less so of an impact here in Western Australia. We certainly fisheries management is a big challenge still, but most of our fish species are not overfished, so I wouldn't say it's a particularly large problem.
Government studies indicate that over 30% of fish stocks in Western Australia are either overfished or being exploited at unsustainable rates. These figures review the immediate impact on the local marine ecosystem. Overfishing doesn't only affect the environment, it impacts the local economy. Perth's fisheries contribute significantly to the region's income. The decline in fish stocks due to overfishing jeopardizes the livelihoods of many. This problem has far-reaching consequences, from local fishermen struggling to potential decline in tourism due to the degradation of marine resources.
We have about 50 different types of commercial fishing activities, and then there's recreational fishing, which targets a whole range of different species, and customary fishing as well.
One of the critical challenges in Perth is the lack of comprehensive data. Nearly 45% of the stocks in Western Australia remain unassessed, making it difficult to determine whether the region's fish stocks are at a healthy level or if they are under stress.
I think we've got too much commercial fishing out there, so the ocean is fished out completely. 10 years back I could caught more fish here than now. Big ships, they got nets and things like that, trawlers. I always think fisheries must get more people out there that can catch the people that catch the illegal sized fish and do inspection, and they mustn't come with fishery shirts. They must be like normal, like me, dress. And just must have a badge, sorry, like it's detectives, you're undersized fish in the water, because a lot of people take it and they take it home, and I can say nothing about it. Because if I say something about it, then I target them. Because we're different culture groups in Australia.
Despite these challenges, Perth's local efforts and community initiatives are emerging to address the issue of overfishing and promote sustainable fishing practices.
For the commercial sector, one of the main tools is called limited entry, which basically means there's a fixed number of people that can go fishing. Not anyone can just set up a business and go commercial fishing, you need to have a license. We have a range of controls that limit the amount of fishing effort, so it might be how many pots a rock lobster fisherman can use, or how much net a gill net fisherman can set. And then there are what we call output controls, which are controls on level of catch. For the recreational sector, we use things like size limits, so a fish has to reach a certain size before you can legally retain it. Fisheries management is sort of like, we refer to it as like a three-legged stool. So one of those legs is management, and so the policies that you have. Another one is science, so having good quality scientific advice to inform and set those policies. And the other one is compliance.
It's evident that overfishing is a global crisis of unprecedented proportions, affecting all countries and regions. But within the declining fish stocks and threats to our marine ecosystems, solutions are being created. Governments, seafood businesses, local fishing communities, and consumers each have a role to play to improve ecosystem health. Governments can address the worst problem first, adopt evidence-based policies, and invest in better fisheries management. Seafood businesses can audit the supply chains, shift sourcing to responsible suppliers, and advocate for sustainable policies.
Certified sustainable seafood, so there are organisations such as the Marine Stewardship Council which independently verify that seafood is sustainable or sustainably sourced. Seafood labelling is very complicated. What is called one species in one area is sometimes the name changes in another area. There's all sorts of labelling issues.
Local fishing communities can drive innovation, push for policy change, and collaborate with experts to protect the fisheries. Consumers can get informed, press for change, and consume consciously.
Just be aware as a consumer of where your fish comes from. In Australia we have very transparent fisheries management and fisheries scientific advice, so you can look at the status of Australian fish stocks website to check whether the fish species is sustainable that you're eating.
Rebuilding overfished stocks and ensuring the sustainability of our fisheries is not only an ecological imperative, but also vital for the food security, economies, and the well-being of coastal communities. Together, as a global society, it is vital for us to work together to protect and preserve our marine ecosystem, transitioning to a more sustainable way of fishing for the present and future generations.